Hello, this is Oscar Wilde, Shannon and Aura's Excellent Oscar Adventure, and we are on 1935.
You do that very well.
Thank you. And we watched, oh my God, what did we watch?
It happened one night.
It happened one night with Clark Gable and Claudette Colbert, and let's see. I guess the first thing I'll do is talk about the story. Is that okay?
Talk about the story.
Okay.
Tell them everything, even the ending.
This is the story. It's a romantic comedy, and just a side note, it's one of the last romantic comedies that was filmed before the Code era. So we're still pre-Code. This is the last pre-Code film. And Claudette is named Ellie in the film, and Ellie is a rich spoiled heiress, and she's sick of being told what to do and how to act and how to behave. So she decides that she's going to elope with this, a fortune hunter named King Westley. And her father is quite angry about that, and they're on their yacht in Florida, and he is very much against this elopement and does not want to sanction an actual marriage. And she jumps off the boat, swims away, and she gets to a Greyhound station, and she's going to try and make it across country on her own to get back to King Westley. And lo and behold, she meets a newspaper writer on the bus, and his name is Peter, Clark Gable. And he realizes who she is, and he gives her an ultimatum, either to give him the scoop for the story about her trying to get back to her quote-unquote love, and escaping her father, her rich father, or he'll go to her father and tell him where she is. So of course she takes option one. So they start on their trek across country with him interviewing her. They don't like each other at all. They're fighting and not getting along at all. And of course, typical love story, right? And so many scenes later, many famous scenes later, they start falling in love. And so we're going to tell you a little bit about the special scenes in a minute, but it gets to the point where he knows that he can't love her, and she's like, I really love you, and he's like, no, you can't. We've got to get you back to your fiance. And he decides, yes, he actually does love her. And so he runs off to write a quick article in the city one night when they're in a motel room, separated motel room. And she wakes up, thinks he's gone, and she leaves the motel. She's kicked out of the motel. We'll explain that later. And tells her father where she is. He picks her up, and she's getting ready to get married, even though her father really doesn't want her to. And in the meantime, Peter realizes that all of this has happened, and he's very desperate and sad, and he gives up. And all he wants back from the father, he claims his love to the father and says, all I want back is the $39.60 that I spent on gasoline to get your daughter across the country. And the father sees that he is in love, and so the wedding comes, and Ellie's walking down the aisle to marry King Westley, who's about to land in an auto gyro. We couldn't figure out what the hell that was.
Until it's hot.
Yeah.
It was impressive.
It's like a makeshift helicopter.
It's like a cross between a biplane and a helicopter, which is, I guess, good for 1935.
But he whispers to her, there's a car in the back if you want to change your mind. And of course, last minute she changes her mind. And the last few scenes are so hilarious because she has to get her eloped wedding marriage annulled, and she's busy, starting her life with Peter, and so everybody lives happily ever after.
I guess that says something about the times, though. They can't consecrate the marriage or the nuptials or do anything until it's officially annulled.
Right.
And I'm trying to think in what day and time is that even the way things were? But I guess it was in the 1930s and the 40s and the 50s, but I'm not sure.
Not so much the 50s. Well, I mean, it's not like people didn't have sex.
Well, yeah, but
So-
out of wedlock, and they show that on the screen. No,
Right.
people still had sex out of wedlock,
Right.
but on the big screen, even in the pre-code era, I guess that was kind of forgotten.
Well, true.
Yeah.
So I guess what we should talk about is some of the scenes and the fun facts around those scenes. Do you want to do that first? Or do we want to talk? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do both. I think probably this film lays the groundwork for so many romantic comedies to come. Well, Wikipedia says it laid the groundwork for so many comedies to come, so it must be so. But really, looking
Believe
back,
everything that Wikipedia says.
but looking back at it, I think it really did. I mean, everything from Moonlighting to King Solomon's Mines to just a host of romantic comedies. The recipe's always the same. You have the kind of swashbuckling, very confident guy. You have the, the damsel kind of in distress, but she comes from a different social circle than the protagonist. Or even the Goldie Hawn movie Overboard was kind of like that. So it really, really set the stage for, romantic comedies to come. The Greyhound Bus scene was really good. And it makes you think, I guess that was the way to get across the country.
Well, it became it.
It was like really interesting. They did a good job filming inside. It looked like a real bus. They showed what it was like to travel by bus and the stops, and it was kind of fun to watch a piece of Americana. Also, this is before the advent of chain hotels and motels. There's no Holiday Inns or Ramada Inns or anything like that. So the buses would stop near like these just really kind of cute cottage-like places.
Right.
And I guess another sign of the times was the fact that they did actually have hooks in the rooms where you could actually string a clothesline across and either dry your clothes or put a barrier up between.
Yep.
And lots of movies in the future played on that. In fact, they talk about so many movies took so many of these scenes. The final wedding scene where she's going down the aisle and the father's saying, "No, you can get out. This isn't for you. You have a choice." It was actually in some animated movie
What's that?
at some point. I forget what it was.
I didn't even know that.
But speaking of animated movies, tell me about Bugs Bunny and Carrots in Albuquerque.
Okay. So Clark Gable, I guess Franz Freelong is the creator of the cartoon character Bugs Bunny, and apparently he loved this film. It was his favorite film ever. And so apparently some of the scenes in this movie were what helped influence his making of the character of Bugs Bunny. One of them was that Clark Gable ate a lot of carrots. He'd pick up carrots on the road and on the way on their travels back across country, and she would never want to eat them because they weren't cooked, but he was eating carrots all day long, and he was eating them really fast and talking really fast, and so that was a very, of course, a big characteristic of Bugs Bunny, no doubt. And a couple times he was called Doc by somebody on the bus, and so the "What's Up, Doc" actually came from the Clark Gable or the Peter character in this film. And then
I can see it actually. Now that you think about it, Bugs Bunny's character was this like cocky, swashbuckling,
with the
always landed
mustache
on his
sometimes
feet,
and the hat sometimes.
sometimes bumbled a little bit, but always landed on his feet. So actually, you could take Clark Gable's character in this and just put it on top of Bugs Bunny, and then you got it.
Yeah,
You
and
really
so
did.
that is the influence for Bugs Bunny.
That's easy for you to say.
Uh-huh. And back to that Greyhound Bus, there was a scene where they were singing a song and the whole bus got into singing the song on the bus, and weren't they playing cards?
Oh yeah, they had a big card game on
Yeah.
the bus, and so you kind of envision that probably people did sing songs on buses and play cards on these long rides.
Right, and there's stops in between, and the stops are overnight stops, and that's where they had to stay in the cottages, and they'd separate the room with this blanket, and they called it the Walls of Jericho at the end. And that's what Shannon was talking about with respect to waiting until the marriage was annulled to let the walls of Jericho fall. And at the end, they're like, the walls of Jericho are falling. Is it annulled yet?
Which was all very cute and everything, but I'm suspecting even in the 1930s, the walls of Jericho would fall without the,
Yeah,
annulment. But it was cute. It made for a cute comedy.
So there's some other things that were really good. Do you want to talk about the hitchhiking? Or you want me to do that?
No, you have to do the hitchhiking.
Okay, so there's a scene where the bus breaks down. It ends up in this trench or something, and so they have to start hitchhiking. So basically, they're on the road, and that's when he's eating the carrots all the time because he took it from a farm or something. He's trying to explain to her that he's going to get them a ride, and this is how he's going to do it. And he was like, okay, there are many different types of hitchhiking motions, and so you have to do it the right way. And this is one way, and this means one thing, and this means another thing. And then there's this, and that means a whole nother thing. So you have to make sure you do it right. So, he goes to the road, and she's sitting on the fence watching him, very, enjoying this comedy of her own. And cars are going by. It looks like a highway. They're going by. It's so funny. Suddenly there are no cars, and then there are like a million cars, and he's trying all these different things, trying to
dance of sorts.
And she's like, you know what? Maybe I should try. And so she gets off the fence, and she walks up, and he's like, how are you going to do this? There is no way you're going to be able to do this. And of course, she just sticks out her long, lovely leg. Somebody stops immediately, and they get in the car.
And actually, there's a funny side story to that because the actress is a Claudette Colbert.
Yeah.
She did not want to do it. She thought it was not ladylike. She put up a big fight.
Really?
Did not want to film that scene at all. So they brought in a showgirl to be a double. And then Claudette saw the showgirl, and the showgirl, she's up there and she's getting ready to do it. And she decides, no, she doesn't want her to do it. After all, her legs are just as nice as the showgirl's. And so she pushes the showgirl out of the way and sticks her leg and does the same.
Oh, I didn't know that either. So you caught up with me in terms of the history. The undershirt scene.
Yes, the undershirt scene.
Backing up just a little bit. Once they are picked up by this car, they stop at like a gas station or something, and the driver starts running off with her luggage. So Peter runs after him and brings the car back. So that car is actually pivotal because that's when they actually have their own wheels, right? And that enables him to try and go back and get an article written so he can marry her, so he can make some money so he can marry her. But in one of the scenes, she has no clothes because their suitcases were taken, but he still somehow has his pajamas.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works, but...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because her suitcase, she let it sit beside the bus and somebody ran off with it.
Oh, that's right. Anyway, so, he's like, she comes over to the other side, to his side, and he's like changing. So it's like the first time you ever see a man bare-chested in a film. And he actually looked pretty good.
Yeah, for the time, I mean...
Yeah, and so he's getting in his pajamas. He gives her his robe or something like that. But apparently, as a result of that film and that scene, the use of undershirts under dress wear started declining precipitously after that film. And on top of it, of course, back to the Greyhound scene, that's when Greyhound buses apparently started getting extremely popular as a result of this film. So this film was incredibly influential in many ways. It was actually deemed, and still is, one of the 100 best films of all time. And tell them about the awards and the nominations.
I think this was the only film for a long, long time they had like all the big categories won by a single film. It had Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Director, Best Picture, and one other Best something that's really important.
Outstanding Picture.
Outstanding Picture. That's right, because they always had Best Picture and Outstanding Picture.
No. Outstanding Picture, Actor, Actress, Director, and Screenplay.
Screenplay.
Yeah.
And it's actually one of the first ones which we actually really enjoyed and watched it for the sake of enjoying the movie rather than watching it because it was one of the first Academy Award winning movies. It just was fun to watch.
And fun fact, it was there are only two other films that were nominated in all 5 categories and won in all 5 categories. They are
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and don't tell me. Okay, do tell me.
Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, so that's a big deal.
2 very, very different movies from this movie.
Yeah.
They weren't as cheerful and uplifting as this one. No, I liked it. I really though wish they'd ended it a little bit differently. I wish that she goes running out to the car where Clark Gable's waiting, and they show her actually trying to get in the car, and she's saying, "Oh, Clark, I love you, I love you, I love you. I mean, I screwed it all up. Whatever shall I do? Wherever shall I go?" And then Clark Gable would look at her and say, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn."
That's too.
And then he would drive off. But we have to wait 6 more years for that to happen.
Very funny. Actually, the next movie that we're going to see is another Clark Gable film. 1936 is Mutiny on the Bounty, and this is a code film. So basically, the production code is in effect from here on until it's no longer in effect, until they have movie rating systems,
Right.
I think. So this is the last of the pre-code films. Just one last thing about the awards is Claudette Colbert.
Oh yeah, no, this is great.
Yeah.
Tell.
So she actually did not think she was going to win Best Actress, so she didn't. She chose not to go to the awards at all, and instead she booked a railway cross-country trip, and her name was called, and luckily the train hadn't left yet, so the director, summoned her basically. Somebody went and got her, I don't know how, but and she said she was pulled off the train, and she showed up in her travel gear, basically, a pantsuit, not a beautiful flowing dress to get her award, but she was sure she wasn't going to win. And actually at first it wasn't much of a box office hit. It actually gained momentum after it started getting its accolades.
In fact, nobody wanted to play it. She was the 5th choice because the 4 others turned it down. Clark Gable was the 4th choice, and he didn't want to do it, and he thought that the studio was actually punishing him because I guess he had turned down some other roles or something like that. But several other actors and actresses actually turned the roles down.
So, needless to say, we do recommend it.
Mm-hmm. It was a lot of fun.
So Shannon was saying thumbs up, thumbs down. I was saying, like our movement, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, we can't do the thumbs up because Cisco and Ebert already did that one, and flapping arms like a chicken's probably not so.
Well, Shannon always goes like this in pictures.
No, it's a point like this.
Oh, okay.
You can point at the camera.
We really, really like this
It
film.
was fun.
It was a great film, and we do strongly recommend it. The first one that we really strongly recommend, just to watch it.
Yep, it was enjoyable.
So until next week.
Adios.